So Nintendo just had a really nice send-off for the Switch. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, then hang out here with me while we get ready for tonight's live stream. So I thought it would be fun to give you guys a little peek into how I get ready and set up for a live stream from the opposite perspective that you usually always see. And while we're doing it, we're going to go ahead and talk about that Nintendo Direct from this week, because I have some feelings about it. So there was a couple really big things that happened during the Nintendo Direct that I thought were pretty interesting. I really had no idea that there was going to be yet another Zelda game for the Switch, but another Zelda game this year, which is crazy. And yeah, Nintendo drops it. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is a new open world 3D platformer in the same vein as that Link's Awakening remake that came to the Switch. There's only one catch on this, is that it's not Link that you're playing as, it's actually Princess Zelda. Now I do want to point out that in my post, a lot of people mentioned, this isn't the first Nintendo game to let you play as Princess Zelda. But it actually is the first Nintendo game to let us play as Princess Zelda. And some of you pointed out, no, that CDI game, The Wand of Gamelon, let us play as Zelda. But I said it was the first Nintendo game to let us play as Princess Zelda. And Wand of Gamelon was not developed by Nintendo. It was actually developed by another studio altogether. So I don't really count that. Now, the thing that really interests me about this game is there's not a lot of combat. So if you watch the gameplay videos, Zelda isn't carrying like a sword and a shield, right? You have a wand that creates echoes of things, and then you can use those things to then defeat enemies and progress through the open world, which is actually, if you think about it, very similar to something like Tears of the Kingdom, where they give you the tools and then you just kind of go about your day and progress through the world however you want. I think that's kind of cool, actually. And for those of you who have always wondered, this is where the monitors go. There's actually, my wife sits here and I sit here. So that was the new Legend of Zelda game. Now, we also got something that some of us were starting to believe maybe didn't exist. We got the reveal trailer for Metroid Prime 4. It actually does exist. Crazy, right? Now, this is something that I thought was really interesting about Metroid Prime 4. You watch the trailer, and the whole time I'm looking at the trailer and I'm like, man, you know, this trailer, it looks just a little bit polished for a Switch game. It's really nice looking. And I thought, they're not going to show a logo, right? They're not going to show coming to Nintendo Switch. They're just going to show a trailer and that's it. And it's actually going to be a trailer for whatever console is coming next. But then they do. They show that logo at the end. Nintendo Switch 2025. But here's the interesting thing about that. We already know that Nintendo is well underway on a new console. In fact, there was a lot of buzz that this new console was actually going to be announced and released this year, this holiday, actually. Now, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes talk about Nintendo holding this back until next year to try and make sure demand is met with the consoles. But still, 2025 for Metroid Prime 4. I get the feeling that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be one of those gap jump titles that Nintendo loves to do. They've been doing them since the GameCube, if you remember. We had Twilight Princess that jumped the gap from the GameCube to the Wii. And then we had games that jumped from the Wii to the Wii U, where they're released on both consoles, right? They want to capture their existing fans and give them new games, but they also want to give people a reason to buy the new console. The same thing happened when we went from the Wii U to the Switch. I think Metroid Prime might be that game. Now, on tonight's live, if you're going to be joining us, we are going to be booting up and playing that special little Super Nintendo Mini with a flash drive full of emulators. I had a lot of people in the comments try and say that it wasn't real, which is kind of weird because it's very real. We're going to play it on the live stream tonight. I also just bought this new Stream Deck by Elgato. It has a lot of really cool features, but I just haven't had the time to figure out exactly what I need to do with it yet. I use it for a couple of things, some scene changes and stuff, which is cool. But hey, did you know that the NES and the SNES minis have the same controller port as the Wii controllers? Yeah, Wii Classic controllers work on the SNES mini. Very cool. That's what I'm going to play on tonight. So back to the Nintendo Direct. We also got Mario and Luigi Brothership, I think is what it's called, which is a really interesting looking game. I'm not really sure what to think of it other than, sure, I'm along for the ride for a new Mario and Luigi game. And then we went into this whole section of games that really makes you go, ah, this is Nintendo's last push for the Nintendo Switch. This is them setting the Switch free, telling it goodbye before ushering in a new piece of hardware, because the next quite a few games were all remasters or remakes or re-releases. So we got the Dragon's Quest re-release. Then they come out hitting that nostalgia super hard and give us a Donkey Kong Country Returns remaster or remake. They also give us a Marvel vs. Capcom Fighter Collection, which is just a collection of tons of MVC games, which I think is super cool. Now, another game that they announced that I think could very well be a title that jumps to the new console is this new Mario Party game. It doesn't seem like it's been that long since we got the last Mario Party. I don't know if you can see this, but for those of you who thought this thing was fake, there's a bunch of PlayStation games loaded up on a NES Mini. So anyway, we got Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is a brand new Mario Party game that I also think is going to come to whatever they decide to call the next Nintendo console. And that leads us into like a bunch of little small announcements, which really aren't huge news, but are kind of neat. There actually is a Lord of the Rings game that I thought was pretty neat. I think it was called Tales of the Shire or something. Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, which is basically like, looks like Harvest Moon set in the Shire. Animal Crossing set in the Shire. I don't know. Looks cool to me. I'm into those kind of games. We also got Hello Kitty Adventure Island, which if you're a Sanrio fan, it also looks like Hello Kitty with some Animal Crossing paint on it. So you guys actually don't get to see me set up the camera because the tripod I use for the camera is right here being used already. So the other remake or re-release that I'm really excited about that is actually coming out this month is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I love Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion 3 was awesome. Luigi's Mansion 2 was awesome, and I can't wait for Leland and Crosby to experience that game on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's very cool. So if any of you ever wonder what I stream with, this is it. This is a Nikon Z6 II, and I'm actually using the Nikon 20mm prime lens. And that usually sits like right about here. And that's, yeah, that's what I stream with. HDMI out to the Atmos Atom XCast, which is just a multi-camera switcher. Actually, here, I'll show you. I actually have a Nikon Z30 on a tripod over here that is facing the Lucky Egg machine, and those are on this Ninja switcher. And then from there, I have HDMI out of the Atmos. See there, as you can see, the other camera is still here, not hooked up. But from here, it goes out to my Razer Blade 15 gaming laptop, which I actually don't game on. I use this thing specifically to stream. And those are my camera sources. Now for my game source, I actually use, it's buried in the back there, but I actually use the 4KX by Elgato. It's just HDMI in and then an HDMI out to the monitor and a USB out. I use OBS to set my scenes up, and there's this really cool plugin on OBS that allows you to stream vertically to like Instagram or TikTok and horizontally to like Twitch or YouTube. So that's how I do the simulcast stream. Anyway, rounding out the Nintendo Direct, we got some new DLC that launched like yesterday for that latest Disney game for the Switch. For Disney Illusion Island, which looks pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. We got Darkest Dungeon 2 coming to the Switch next month. We got a weird Looney Tunes sports game, which I really didn't pay much attention to. Oh, we got Stray. Stray, that cat game, is coming to the Nintendo Switch this holiday, which I think is kind of cool. I think like my kids will enjoy something like that. That Ace Attorney Investigations game is coming out later this year. And then a handful of other games that weren't really particularly on my radar. Not that they're bad, but they're just games that I typically don't play, so I really didn't pay attention to them. But again, the thing that really sparks my interest about this Nintendo Direct was the fact that it really kind of felt like a waving goodbye to the Nintendo Switch. I think that everyone knows by now in the industry, outside of the industry, that Nintendo is working on a new video game console. And it started to feel like maybe that console wasn't super close and that there wasn't a lot of big releases to look forward to on the Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo probably still wants to pick up as many sales of the Nintendo Switch as they possibly can. So they're trying to hit it hard before they come in, probably later this year, and start talking about this next console, which is my guess. They'll probably announce it later this year, and it probably won't release until next year at this point. Although I feel like they could do one of those things and announce it late summer and then bring it holiday of this year, which would be very interesting. And I assure you, it's going to be another handheld hybrid. At least that's what my intuition is telling me. So anyway, next on my journey to setting up this live stream, I go into Twitch and set up all the stream info. And then the last thing I do before I go live is turn the arcade on, and that's all done with my voice. Check it out. Alexa, turn on the arcade. That's it. You'll see, boom, all the neons come on. Those arcade machines over there, those are machines that you typically don't see in my videos because we're usually shooting this way, and I keep those things off because they are noisy as hell. I have attract mode set to that. I know I can shut that off, but when friends come over, I like to keep the attract mode on. And there's no reason to have all that hum on while I'm shooting. So usually it's just the machines behind me that are on. And the jukebox, which is also making a lot of ancillary noise. The last thing I have to do is open OBS and set the streams, but I can't do that until I get my main camera set up, because if I open OBS before I plug the camera in, I don't know. OBS is very weird. Maybe some of you can help me out on this. Do you have a problem? Do you use OBS? And do you have a problem with it reassigning inputs? It drives me insane. See, I use these guys. These Camlink HDs, these 4K Camlinks by Elgato. And I have two of them plugged in, and then I also have the cast, the little cast box. I get it all set up, and the inputs are all proper, and I run a stream, and then I close OBS properly. And then when I reopen OBS, for some reason, it reassigns these to different channels sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And then I could close OBS and reopen it right away, and then sometimes it assigns them back. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If you know OBS better than I do, and you want a job, hit me in the comments and let me know. Maybe you can help me out. Anyways, if you are watching this and you are enjoying it, this has been another Tofer Talks. I'm going to do these a couple times a week. I was thinking about doing them once a week, but I'm having a lot of fun with them. I just like chatting, you know, and I'll probably do them a couple times a week. So if you're enjoying this, don't forget to follow along. And if you were not part of the live stream that actually, as of right now, hasn't happened yet, but if you're watching this, it's already happened. I'm going to have it posted on the YouTube page and on the Instagram page. So if you want to watch these in order, when you finish this video, go watch the rebroadcast of the live stream, and you can see what is about to happen here in just a couple of minutes. So thanks for joining me on Tofer Talks. Hit the comments and let me know what you think about this Nintendo Direct. And if you think that I'm just totally full of it, Nintendo doesn't have a new console on the horizon, and this is not the last hurrah for the Nintendo Switch. I personally think it is, and I think that we're going to see a new console sooner than most people probably think. We may not see it released sooner, but we're definitely going to be seeing things about it. And I'm really excited about it. New console cycles always get me excited. So I'm going to set this stream up. I'll see you guys live if you're watching this. We'll see you next. And thanks. Come back on Sunday for another episode of Tofer Talks. Mwah.